All right, we are going to go ahead and make the pegboard that our shapes go into. So I'm going to go ahead and do a new part. Here we go. And I'm going to start a 2D sketch. I'm going to sketch the part that will be laying down. So if you're looking at your packet, the biggest face that you see on that pegboard. So I'm going to choose the XZ plane. I'm going to make a rectangle. And notice I wasn't very careful that time how big I made it. So I need to go back in dimension using this constraints here. I want the longest side of this rectangle to be 5 3/4 of an inch. Got too big to see, so I have to zoom out a little bit there. And I want the shorter side to be 3 inches. I go ahead and finish that sketch. When I zoom out, here's what I'm looking at. I can drag that dimension out of the way a little bit. I'm going to extrude that shape, and it says it's 3/4 of an inch deep. So I do 0.75, and I click OK. At this point, if you want to make this out of something else, or if you wanted to make it out of something else here. So now I have a wooden looking pegboard, or I could choose to do it a color. Oops. I'm not sure why my color didn't work, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. All right, so now I need to put the holes into the pegboard, and it says that both holes should be properly centered both vertically and horizontally within the rectangular base. I'm going to show you how to put in the circle hole, and then hopefully you'll be able to figure out from there what you'd have to do for the square hole. So we're going to start a 2D sketch, and we're going to pick this top face of the sketch plane or of our pegboard. And I'm going to put a circle onto that face. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about how big it is right now. I'm going to right click to get out of there. And I'm going to dimension that circle. So if I click on the outer edge, drag it outside of my shape, I know I want that circle to be 1 inch. Now, if we were actually making a pegboard toy and we had 1 inch pegs, we would need to make this hole bigger than 1 inch to make sure that the pegboard or that the peg fit through the hole. But for our sake, we're just going to say 1 inch should be big enough. And that makes a circle on my board. Now, it's really important in the directions it says to center it both vertically and horizontally on the pegboard toy here. So I'm going to do dimension again. And instead of dimensioning my circle, I'm going to dimension the distance from the center of my circle to the outside edge of the pegboard. Try that again. From the center of my circle there we go. So I clicked on the edge and then I clicked on the center. Notice it took me a couple ties. And I'm going to drag it over to the side. And now I need to think, how far would it be from this edge of my pegboard down to this center line? So because it's 3 inches all the way across, halfway down is going to be 1.5 inches. And when I click OK, notice it now moves my circle to that center line. Now if I try to move my circle, and I'm not in dimensioning, let me get out of here for a minute. If I try to move my circle, it's going to be stuck there because I've dimensioned it to a certain point. I can't move this off of that dimension. The other dimension I'll have to set is from the center point of my circle to this outside edge. And if I drag this up here, I have to determine how far left and right I want it to be. This calculation is a little bit trickier. I'm going to use my calculator to show you here that if this whole width across is 5 3/4 of an inch, then halfway across would put my thing right here in the middle. And I don't want the circle in the middle. I want the circle on one half and the square on the other half. So if I divide it by 2, it's 2.875. And if I enter that, you'll notice that my circle is in the very middle of my board, which isn't going to do me very much good. So what I really need to do is take that 5.75 and divide it by 4, because the 4 is going to get me in the center of the half of it. So I'm really dividing my board into fourths. 1/4 being here, 2/4 being my middle point, 3/4 being over here, and 4/4 being at the end. So I'm going to divide this by 4, and that's 1.4375. So I'm going to click over here and change this dimension to 1.4375. And when I click OK, it shifts it over in this direction. I'm going to say Finish Sketch, and you'll see that my circle is here on my board. Now the last step is that we're going to extrude. And we're going to extrude this circle, but instead of having it pop up, we're going to shift it so that it goes in direction 2. By having it go in direction 2, it's now going down through that board. It's set to 0.75 right now because that's the depth of my board. If I wanted to go farther through, I can go to 1. It doesn't matter. When I click OK, you'll notice that instead of filling in that shape through the board, it has made a hole in my shape. Now, to do the square hole, we're going to start the same way. Start your 2D sketch, go here. You're going to make your rectangle be 1 by 1 inch. Draw it, dimension it to center from the top and center from the side. Finish your sketch, and then extrude it through your shape. You're going to extrude it downward just like you did with your circle. That should end you up with the pegboard that you see in your packet, which will be the next step. When you're done with that, you want to do File, Save As. Oops, I can't save while in sketch mode, so I have to finish my sketch first. Now we should be able to save it, Save As, and I can save this as pegboard toy or just the pegboard. Go ahead and click Save, and then I'd be ready to go. Good luck!